Welcome to Sex, Lies, and Blank Pages. Events. What the fuck has happened?
Yeah.
Welcome.
It's like the end. We're done. What the fuck is happening? The end. Um,
I will say I just came off of two amazing book signings for the start of this, but they were both small. They were both, well, what
yes.
I wouldn't consider it small because I like my Barnes and Noble signings where there's 100, 200 people. There's 300 to 400 at these two events that I attended, both first time events, both fantastic. But while we're at these events or during the week, we're getting these links.
Well, you and I were at a wonderful event while another event was taking place that had quite the controversy. And what's
Yes.
sad is like there was two events going that happened around that time, and one I think was badly run, and then one was well run. It just the outside influence now made it a controversy.
Let's rewind a little bit. So,
Okay.
guys, while you're listening, just know we don't want to name names and we're not going to say what signing it is. Please don't guess in the comments. This conversation, I think, is more for readers to be aware, for the industry to take note, which I believe it already has in the last 2 years. We've seen a lot of
Mhm.
changes. And just to address a concern that it appears to
It's been
be,
happening. Yeah.
well, it's been happening, but also seemingly from larger conventions and larger signings where you do have a wider audience. You're going to have more people. It only takes a couple bad apples, but the things that are happening are so alarming that it does need to be addressed. It's ranging from, groping, which even in season one, we had Mickey Miller on. He
Mhm.
discussed being groped, right? But this one had multiple readers groping a man at an event at the same time and backing him into a corner, as well as air tagging him and stalking him. It also had readers looking underneath bathroom stalls at authors. What else have we like the things that are occurring are out of the realm of what we've seen before. And I think having that conversation, addressing it, and trying to figure out why what the actual fuck why what can be done and what is it going to look like moving forward because of these actions.
Yeah. And then there's the other side of the events, like taking the readers out of it and having some events that people, I feel there's a bit of scam kind of going on with some events. I feel like people are selling, like they're saying, this will be there, this will be offered, this is going, we're going to have this and this, and then none of it happens.
AKA Fire
So,
Festival. I think I've seen two
Yeah,
of our version of fire festivals in the last few years, right? There have been two
Mhm.
events where
At
you
least.
expect
at
something.
least, I
Yeah,
think it's
and
more than that now.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
two that really blew up that I saw, and
Yeah.
I'm not on social media like I used to. Um, it honestly, it is kind of wild. Also, I know we were talking about this. There used to be like three people who threw book signings.
Yes.
We all knew them. We all knew who was attending. It was the same people every time. You knew what to expect. One of them just celebrated a 10-year anniversary last year, and I'll be attending it. It was one of the originals, I believe. And
Stacey will too this year, I
yay!
think. Yeah.
Can't wait to see you. Drinks at the bar.
I
And
know, finally, yeah.
yeah, but those particular events seem to have less drama. And
Yes.
and it's probably because of a comfortability and also because a lot of the people who attend have attended a million times before and they get their tickets. And if they don't get their tickets, they talk to somebody so that they can get a ticket.
Yeah.
So it's the same audience over and over again, which is feels like coming home, as opposed to all of the new signings that are popping up because it is a moneymaker.
Well,
Makes people
experience
think it will.
shows
Yeah.
you can't oversell tickets. You cannot oversell tickets. And a lot of these new
Technically,
events
you
come
can,
in.
Colleen. Technically, I don't know if you've
I
seen, but
mean,
you can. No.
you can, but you shouldn't. I guess I should say you should not oversell tickets. You this is when you run into these problems. Um, I,
Well, some of these
before my
problems,
head explodes.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
get it out.
yeah.
Go say what you're gonna say.
Well, that accounts. So some of the issues are poor planning on people's
Mhm.
parts, which is human, and
Yes.
sometimes it is human, and sometimes it seems to get to their head, and then greed can
Mhm.
get involved in other ways. Um,
Greed,
and what?
greed,
A little
and
bit.
Agreed,
greed.
that you said, yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed, a little bit. And then in the other aspect, though, we are seeing behavior that's alarming. And again, this audience has been widened dramatically since COVID
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
Well,
TikTok.
I know, sorry, go ahead. The one event actually ended after TikTok kind of started infiltrating and things really changed. Like you said before, it was like coming home. Like it was just all of us authors, all of us the readers that, it was a very familiar environment, and all of a sudden things started getting stolen off the table. People started pushing, like it started to get a lot
I
more
had a
aggressive
I had a
and a lot
side.
more about the image of being at this event than it actually was about reading books. And
Mhm.
I think that's the biggest thing is I'm noticing is, and I'm wondering, I hate to say this, but like, did COVID really, like being an introvert, I guess I didn't feel the difference, but I feel like COVID broke a lot of brains out there of like understanding manners, of understanding
Yeah.
when you're in a public place. And this, especially like one event was dark romance. And I felt like they felt like it was almost like a given, like, oh, they deserve this or something like that for being there. Like, and this is it the parasocial relationship you say of like these people are going there almost expecting to live in this world of this dark romance, that they're going to, like to treat somebody like he's actually the real character and they're the real character. And it's just like I feel like there's a reality and book, it's messing too much. I feel like before people had a clear understanding that's a book, and now I'm like, I don't know if people really are getting this.
I think you've touched on a number of different topics that are
Yeah.
full-blown conversations. And one of the things that is so disheartening is reading comments from people who have never read a dark romance book, would never attend an event, have no idea what's going on, say, well, what would you expect? They read
Yeah.
dark romance. And that hits a nerve that it makes me, it brings out the heroine in me, right?
Yeah.
I cannot stand the fact that anybody would justify that behavior or say that, oh, well, it's expected. That behavior is never expected. It
I
is
would expect a
No.
person to act like a grown adult with manners and know what consent
Again,
is.
if there's a murder mystery convention, I don't expect somebody to actually get shot so they can solve a murder. Like that is
It'd be
not
fun if it was
how.
fake. I'd be
I
down.
mean, fair
I would
enough.
be down
That'd
for
be a
that.
good, yeah. But
Just
I
have to
mean,
do
but
something.
again, like, if you're reading books about murder or whatever, like, you don't expect, well, at that event, look at they're reading books about murder, so them murdering somebody, sure. No, that's not human. We're adults. We should be able to handle ourselves in a very, adult manner now in public.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I've
Sexually
seen things
harassing
that I'm like,
people. I mean, sexually harassing
happen.
people isn't a child thing either. It's a
No.
morally wrong, inherently wrong thing,
Mhm.
even though
And
sex
just because it's
is
flipped doesn't
not.
make it fine,
Exactly. It's never fine and it's never acceptable behavior. So I do have to wonder what's causing this uprising of, even though, as we've seen before, men who have attended events did experience this in the past. And
Mhm.
there have been incidents, and multiple people who we know have had to stop things from happening from the very start, from one of the first ever book signings of our time, at least, of indie romance. There were incidents, right, that did occur, but not to this magnitude. And at the time, they were like, it was not acceptable. It was stopped, and like it was like, what are you thinking? It does appear, and I think it's because of a wider audience. You don't know who's coming. You have no idea who's coming. You have, people on TikTok, men saying, on TikToks, telling other men, buy tickets to these events. Like, these are the girls that are going to put out. And the conversation surrounding book events isn't the authors that are in the Facebook group that we're in. You're like, they're going to be there. They're going to have these signed books. They never had the signed books. It's the only chance to get them. Let's go get them. Instead, the conversations are, there are going to be all these influencers here, and there's going to be content here, and this is going to be wild with this, and there's an after party here, and the open bar is this. Like, the reasoning for going
Mhm.
feels very different
I
for.
think that's a layer, but I also think social media has changed how people interact with people in real life.
Mhm.
I feel we have lost something in ourselves, and I'm scared that our world, the more we go AI, the more we get, like we're not handling being in person, and we get like it's almost like I lived in LA for a long time, and my friend she was from the Midwest, and her friends would come out, and they got in this Hollywood scene, and like, I mean, these women were married, and they were like having affairs with the pool boys, and it's just like living this life, like they went nuts because they couldn't, like they, it was like they didn't understand this was real life too. This was like a fantasy to them. And it just, I feel like our social relationships, I mean, being on social media so much, we're used to talking to each other like this. But in person, people, I feel like this weird judgment is being lost. And like you said, it's on top of all the other stuff, I feel like
So,
there's a lot of layers of,
and we don't know how to communicate anymore,
Well,
face to
yeah.
face. We
yeah,
don't.
that has been very odd for me, where I find people
Very, for you, that was tough for you
yeah, and
in
I have to say,
Vancouver.
like, I have to initiate because they're just staring at me, and I think they don't know whether or not they can say hi. But then
Hmm.
I'm in an awkward spot where I'm like, I can see you too. Hi.
Colleen's like, because I was at that Starbucks, and like, I
Yeah.
mean, one girl, like, I mean, they're just staring, and I'm like, hi, like,
The girl was
I can
like
see you.
behind
Watch.
you, like looking over your shoulder, and I'm like, you can
I'm like,
talk to
person. Oh.
So I think like the point that moving forward, what do we do? And I have a couple of thoughts. The first is the signing I just attended had a police officer there. There were no incidents at all. This was a fantastic event, but they hired a police officer to be there at the event, which I think might become the norm. The second
Mhm.
thing is a previous signing a few years ago, and I don't know how many since then, required people who were purchasing tickets to fill out a form. And that included, have you attended other events? Which events were they? When were they? How many have you attended? And that way you have, are they familiar within the book world, or is this somebody who could be brand new? Is this somebody who's not even a reader? And
Mhm.
they're just there to stock a model, which has happened at events, right? When you have an
her.
outside person who's coming just for somebody else with not great intention. So it does put more burden on an event organizer because now there is a liability. And that's a liability that exists within the legal realm because it has literally stopped contracts from being, signed and sealed because they do not want to take on that liability of disasters happen that are either PR disasters, criminal charges, or civil charges. And that's a lot to take on. I don't think I would ever do an event apart from the ones that I have done. Like
No.
you and I at a Barnes and Noble. I've done a small one with Kat where we sold, I think, 100 or 150 tickets in a New York bar. And they were readers who we recognize, readers we know, right? Having a 2,000 or 3,000 person event.
It's
I,
scary.
I,
I've done one.
And I think a lot of these hotel, and again, they should not have to, but again, I'm starting to notice that it's just becoming the norm. A lot of those hotels take on us, and they don't understand like they're not prepared. Like I've
Mhm.
been to too many events that you're prepared for a very business like group coming in that's gonna this and this and this, and they go to these talks and stuff like that. I'm like, you are not prepared for the book event. We are a different breed. We always will
Mhm.
be, because we do feed in fantasy. We do feed in like the excitement, and but I do feel a lot, and I mean, sadly, it isn't just people that are not outside the world. I've seen people act inside that I know that get part of it. It's almost like that hysteria, like that group mentality that they haven't been let out in a while, and they get in these dresses and their friends, and it's like they forget that, like, society, like a kid is sitting next to you, and to pull out something that shouldn't be pulled out in front of a kid, it's just like we seem to have lost ourselves a bit.
There's
And I'm just
there's a
hoping
difference
that,
between fun and feral.
yeah. And I feel we're hitting on feral instead of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
I know, as we've talked about this, we want to actually do more events that are small. Like, I actually I don't really want to do big events anymore unless they're already really established.
agree.
Other than that, I feel like I want to start just leaning towards the small, because they're just they're getting too much. Like,
Getting uncertain as to what you're going to receive when you get there. I have been
yeah.
picked up by readers, literally physically picked up while in heels.
And
Mhm.
you were okay with that. Some of us aren't.
I was not okay with that.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
not okay with that. And
That's a little crossing the line.
it was crossing the line. And I understand that like it's on us to express boundaries. However, we're also there working.
Yeah.
We're there with other readers behind you, right? So a simple, oh no, thank you, or something that should fucking suffice. You shouldn't have to explain anything. You shouldn't go into anything. If you're being triggered, you should be allowed to walk away. There should be these boundaries that are respected. And I mean, I think that this has probably existed outside. I know that it has existed outside of our community before with video game conventions and Comic
Mhm.
Cons and horror stories that occur there. And I think what we need to do is switch the mindset from your Facebook group is getting together, all these people know each other, and it's going to be great. We're going to get to see this author who we know online and she knows us. To this is just like a Comic Con, and we need to
Oh,
know.
Comic Cons have more rules now because,
Oh yeah.
like they're very tightly run now because they have too many lawsuits that could happen. Um,
That's where we're going
yeah,
with what we've become in terms
Mhm.
of
because I mean that one author was very upset because she got physically manhandled and pulled, and I'm like, and when I said like you're okay with it, I'm saying is not being picked up, but like you are
oh, I know.
much more a open person to people touching you, where some authors are very much
I
like
hug
don't
everybody.
touch. Yeah, don't touch me. I'm in between. Like I'm
I
okay with touch, and
I ask though,
but
I open up my arms and I say, I'm a hugger. Is that okay? And a lot of
yeah,
readers go, not a lot, but a few readers.
yeah, some are like,
And I'm like, oh, totally fine. How are you? Like, and I
yeah,
carry on and I pick up. But I always like I do the bird wing, so that they can see I'm a hugger. Are you okay?
flapper.
Yes, yes. And that's what I think that just in reality we know, those are our boundaries. But
Yeah.
when it gets so big and when the audience becomes so wide, even when it was smaller, we had issues, but now the issues aren't something that's easily stopped or foreseeable. And there seem to be more and farther, taken way farther. I mean, I don't know that we've ever had anybody air tagged before. That's horrific. Like, it's
Yeah.
absolutely horrific. So I think moving forward, we do need to, even for the smaller events, just like this last one having a police officer. I remember looking and going, oh, it's like I thought maybe, he was somebody's partner. And then I noticed him standing there and I was like, I think he's a hired
Because I'm
person.
like, oh, good. I could just see the girls like going over him thinking he's like,
They kept doing
like a
it was very
model. I'm like,
professionally done. Yes.
Good.
don't touch him. Don't touch him. You will be
So
arrested.
so
Yeah.
just for like background sake, since we were talking like cons versus signings, okay? Let's talk about the difference in cons versus signings. Whereas like cons usually pay for attendance of a person, like they'll like pay for your table or maybe pay for your room. Let's talk about the back end of
Oh, I
what
love.
authors pay for.
Yes, let's pivot. So instead of
Yes.
taking it from,
Let's give everybody like a peek behind the curtain.
oh, I love this. And this is a much happier, well, first
Well, I did have
happier.
a
We're paying
what
money.
happened. Yeah. We'll come
Because
back
I
to it.
think
Like
there's
I
a
did have
lot of
another point, but
misinformation out there. I think a lot of readers think that when you attend, everything is taken care of for you. And that is
well,
not
and
the truth.
okay, going off of that, actually, that's a good is let me do my first point, and then we can fully go into that. But that kind of goes off of that. Is I was seeing a lot of comments for that one author that was being kind of manhandled, that she was just like, this is my time, and they felt they were owed
Mm.
no matter what free time. And I'm like, you guys, we come to these events, we pay for the tables, we're being there, like we're paying for our books to be there. And when you get us at our table. We are there for you 100%. But then once we leave that spot, that is also our time. And like you're not owed that. And I feel like that was like what's scary is they kept dragging that one author and they're like, I didn't even get up, and they got mad at her because she was at the event and they felt like they needed her time. And
So
I'm like, no, that's not how it goes.
to clarify, because I haven't really been on social media as much, and I'm only getting bits and pieces. But I think that this author was like getting a drink at the bar or was like eating with friends or something, and
Mhm.
readers felt that because they were still at the event,
Yeah.
We still had access to her.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, and that is not the way it works.
I
So
mean, they tried to pull her away from her friends. Like she was
Yeah.
just like, no, guys, no. And they kept trying to pull her away. And it's like,
physically pulled her.
that's not your time. Your time was at the table. Like
And
that's,
even at the table, you aren't owed
no.
anything, right? Like we are paying to be there. We pay to be there, right? And obviously, like we're inclined to stay there. But if a boundary is pushed, we're allowed to leave. We're allowed to protect our mental health and our physical well-being, regardless of any kind of anything. We don't need to give an excuse. Okay, nobody is owed anything. There's financial transactions. A lot of authors love to meet readers. A lot of readers love authors. It's a good time. It's wonderful. But you're not necessarily owed anything other than she said she's going to be here. I hope she is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's where that ends, because we are so segue, is that all right? Are you good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so this is the way the events work for us. We usually get an email or we see a Facebook post. And it's a form, and you can fill out an interest form to attend an event. These events vary wildly. Authors throw them, readers throw them, bloggers throw them. People we don't know throw them, right? So some of them are new, some of them are long-standing and have people who are like frothing at the mouth to get in. You fill out an interest form. On it, it tells you where it's going to be, when it's going to be, and your table fee. And if you want Wi-Fi, that's extra. If you want a, standing table to sign at rather than one of the smaller tables where you have to bend over, that's extra. You're paying everything to be there. Then you have to bring the books. And if it's long distance, you have to ship the books. And when you ship the books, you only have so many days to get it in, sometimes only a few hours within those days, depending on where it's located. So if your books arrive and USPS has them and they don't get there till after, they're coming back to you. They don't even get to the event. I've had this issue multiple times. Then you get there, you're responsible for everything. You're paying your hotel room. I have had a few
Flights. Oh, you forgot dryage too.
Yeah, you're
Like,
paying your storage fee.
the
storage
storage
fee
fee is
and a
extraordinary
handling
amount
fee
now.
now. For some of them, a handling fee of like $10 per package. So if you order your books from Amazon and they send them one at a time
I
in
know. They
packages,
always will.
$10 per. So a lot of people don't even profit. A lot of authors do not.
Oh, I haven't profited in a long time off of these
Bring
because there's
special
just the
editions.
flight, the rooms.
Special editions. I keep every time you say profit, special editions fly out of my mouth. But I do profit attending these events. I have had a few comped, but at the same time, these are expensive for authors to attend. And they do it for the content, they do it for the readers, they do it for the money. They don't do it to have their boundaries pushed. And then they're working there, attempting to make money or to have that relationship with readers without being invaded in a way that is disrespectful or in a way that is harassing the author, right? Like it's supposed to be a good experience all the way around. And in a number of instances, it's not.
And let's not forget, the whole time that they're there signing books, talking to you, they're on. They're on the whole time. And
Yep.
that's not something they're technically used to. They're used to sitting behind their computer and
Like
working.
me.
And
Like,
being able to walk away, right? When you get
Yeah.
tired, when you're burnt out, or when your social battery has run out. So some authors are awkward. Some
Mhm.
are tired. Some are wearing heels for the first time in years and realize while they're standing there, I shouldn't have done this and now I'm uncomfortable.
Mhm.
You never know what the other person is going through ever.
And their hands hurt from signing all day long.
Some authors will bring a stamp as a backup and then readers are angry
Yeah.
that they're using a stamp rather than signing. Or some authors, I remember a couple of years ago, there's an author who had a leg injury. So she was seated and she was being criticized because to get a picture, you had to bend down rather than her getting up. And I'm like, the expectations, everybody's going to have different expectations. And on the whole, I love book signings. On the whole, I have the best time. I'm absolutely on and I know it. I'm like, hug, sign, picture, bye, hey, hug, sign.
it is repetitive.
It is. And it's over and over again. And it fills my cup up now. And I absolutely love it, which is why I do so many. A lot of people don't love it. And a lot of people do get burnt out. And I do remember 2 years ago, it was 8 hours total of signing with an hour in between, so 9 hours total overseas. So I'm on jet lag, and I was towards like there was 1.5 hours left or something, and I was just exhausted. And I looked at this person, and she looked at me, and I was like, I just need a rally. I need and she was like, have water, have what I was like, I'm like, I really, and I was able to like pull it together, but I literally like, she just saw in my eyes, I don't know that this author is going to make it.
Aw.
Because it was
Go
a long
down.
day. It was a
Yeah.
fantastic signing. I absolutely loved it. It was in London also, so fantastic city, obviously. I can't complain. But I remember I was like, I don't know why it was this long, but I still had a line after
And
that
that's
many hours, and I had a line the entire time.
because
Um,
readers don't also realize that, like, yes, they like the long hours because they want to get to as many authors as they can. They don't realize, like, because again, you and I are very different people in the sense of like you that fills your cup, and not that like I feel like this is a negative, but it drains me. That's just how I'm. The introvert part of me is like the being on for me is draining. And so 9 hours or something, they don't like realize that like I it's not that I'm like I don't love readers and I don't want to be there, but I shut down. Like I after a while I'm like I'm done.
Mhm. We go back
Like,
to the room and drink margaritas and watch
yeah.
HGTV.
And it's just,
right.
it's like, again, it's just, how we all interact, but it's just like, those are very long days for us. And usually if it's two in a row or something like that, like, and I know that they spend money and they get there, but they're meeting a bunch of different people. And like, we are too, but we're sitting behind like, one space for a long time. So it's just like, they're a lot for me. I have to admit, I feel like I'm gonna do smaller ones from now on because I get it's just my personality. They take a lot out of me, I feel, because I'm not good at small talk. I'm not good at that, like, hi, and I have to be the extrovert because a lot of them people do come up, they are nervous, they're shy. And so you have to be the one that, like, come on over, it's okay. And that's not natural for me. So, but that doesn't mean I don't absolutely love signings and I don't absolutely I go 100% for the reader. Like, I'm not making money at these. And I'm definitely like, it's the connections with other authors and the readers 100%, because that to me, it is such a like isolating job that this is my time to get out there. And if it's, to
And
meet them, to
that's
thank them, to be, within their circle, then that's what I'm trying to do.
and that was the point
Yeah.
of
Mhm.
doing these signings. And it does feel like the point has a little bit shifted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but everything swings and everything comes to, what is it? The water will always find its level. Is that what it is? Is
Mhm.
that the
Yeah.
saying? But I agree. I really love the small signings. They can
Yeah.
be profitable. They absolutely can for authors who are listening. You're going to need to know how many readers are coming, and then you come up with your number based off of past experiences. You got to do more than one to learn, right? You got to
Mhm.
get your feet wet, and every author is different. I do think that when you have a special edition, first of all, readers love a special edition, but you also have a higher ROI on them. And it's okay to go to an event and want to actually make money, right? Like this is our job and we have bills to pay.
Mhm.
So if you want to go and you really need to make sure that you're going to make money, just make sure that you're bringing an adequate amount and spending an amount that's going to be less than the profit margin of what you're bringing, right? If you only bring 100 paperbacks and you're going to sell them really cheap because you really want readers to start this series and you want to get readers in, that's fantastic. I love that idea, actually. I might actually bring a book and sell it really cheaply because as I said that, I was like, that's actually really smart. But you shouldn't go in thinking that you're going to profit, right? If you're only going to sell 100 at $10 a piece, you're not making very much money in terms of profit and you've got a flight and a hotel. So there's a
Yeah.
way to look at this from a business
And
standpoint
dryage and buying the books. And again, the
and
table
everything,
fee.
all the
And then if
labor.
you want to sponsor, now it's like now every author feels like the need to have to sponsor to
Yeah.
get
I
special. And
will
so that's
say
another.
I love sponsoring with giving the free books in the bags. I usually put a short story in each of the bags, and that way every reader gets something from me. And also they'll come to my table to get it signed the majority of the time. So I will say I like to donate books. If you're an author and you're listening and you're like, well, how can I make the most of it? Donating a short story or even like a book that's like the first 3 chapters. Again, that costs money though. All of
Yeah.
this
I'm
costs
like,
money.
yeah. So
And it can add up very quickly, especially if you're doing an international book signing, which I'm getting ready. I have a Vegas, Philly, Vegas, Melbourne, Australia.
girl.
And then I have one in Wildwood, I think. And I have a Barnes and Noble this weekend in Pennsylvania. Um, I do a lot of signings. For me, they're trips. I love it. I've done so many at this point that I sleep perfectly well at night. I used to not be able to sleep. I I love everything about it. Um, and even when I have an instant where somebody picks me up off the ground like all the air from my lungs is like being squeezed out of me, or whatever could happen at an event, even if it is, I write them off as a little blip and I keep it moving, because I've learned how to
But
deal with those things because
yeah.
I've done so many. A lot of people don't deal with those things the same way that I do. And a lot of people, one is one too many and they'll never attend again.
Yeah. But going back to like the whole point of this, is with all these events coming and how many, just be careful for the ones that you sign up, you're a reader going to them, make sure that this is maybe established one first year, unless you know the person running it and stuff, because I feel like a lot of them now are promising a lot, but not necessarily are, coming out, doing it. So I just feel like right now go to trusted events. And then when you get there as readers, just, like manners. Like to me, it's just like the biggest thing is like understand that we're all humans, treat people like you'd want to be treated. And, it's just like, for both sides of events, like make sure you study the ones that you want to attend and also act appropriately with the ones you attend. Like
I think the natural follow-up question to that is, how do you know if an event is trusted? How can a reader know when they see that an author who they're following, is going to this event? How can they know? Because as I've never attended a book signing as a reader, still I was going to attend one.
I would say if it's been, they've done it more than once.
Yeah.
Because majority of the time, the first one is one that showed the color shows how it's ran. And even that one that was supposedly had negative things attached to it was actually run very well. And I feel bad for them because they have now a very negative, look on their event,
Right.
which they actually tried to nip it right in the butt. They tried to do, it wasn't really them. So to me, I tried to look for events that have been at least, a year to two that have,
And you can
consecutively run.
Google. People
Mhm.
Yeah.
can Google and
Yeah.
see, look up the event and do their own research in
And
that.
also,
Um,
but on the flip side of this, don't go in with perfection too. Somebody said like, there was somebody on TikTok that was like, oh, I need a list of events that are not good. And then she's like, then I'm going to give you like a list of them
Alyssa
all
events,
mhm.
because she was trying to find like, oh, like events that are
Without flaws.
problems
Yeah.
that, and she's like, then you're going to, then them all, because
Yeah.
there's going to always be people that find problems with everything. Not everything is going to be, but to me, when you start, going to essaying and, putting air tags, then we got a serious problem. But,
I mean, we've
you know,
also seen established events which an author who is running it went viral, and then they have the event again and there are a number of issues. And we've
yeah,
also seen issues because of the hotel, and we've seen issues.
Mhm.
So if you want to go to an event where there's going to be no issues, I think you need to go to like a tarot reader or
Mhm.
anything,
a crystal
stay home.
ball to tell the future, right?
Yeah,
Because there's nothing, there's no guarantee
Right.
in life.
no,
There
No.
really is. And you never know what's going to happen.
Don't have huge, high expectations for anything.
I have them for
It's just like life.
yeah,
A great resource I do want to mention is if you are on Facebook, Author Events Around the World is a Facebook group. Um, she does have a list, a Google Doc pinned to the top of the page, and she has highlighted in yellow, I believe, in that Google Doc, of the events I believe she said have been around the longest. If you want more trusted events, you can go and refer to that Google Doc. But I do say that they are a very good resource if you would like to check that out.
I love
yeah.
that we gave a call to action. And I also want to say, leave your comments below. Let us know your thoughts on all of this. Again, please try not to name names if you can avoid it, just because you know, just because we saw a thread doesn't mean that we know the whole thing about anything. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share this to everybody you know, including your mother. She obviously needs to know about this, right? Maybe not your mom. I don't know.
She needs to know that, mom's the one that's going feral at these events. So
Tell her to behave.
Mom needs to be brought back down.
And let us know what you want us to talk about next. We literally bring what we're talking about in our group chats right to the podcast. We have no censor other than the parts that we censor. And until next time, bye.
Bye.